Greetings to you and welcome to this episode of Grace Podcast. I'm Timothy Muse. I'll be your host as we spend this time together today. It's a joy to be with you. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for making this podcast a part of your journey. And of course, I want to thank you for being on the journey, for walking this path. It is truly a joy to have you as part of this journey this podcast is making. And I'm so happy that you're doing this. I'm so happy that you're tuning in, that you're looking at places in your life that need a little extra attention, that you're growing and expanding in your own life. It is so awesome that you are investing in yourself. So many times people will invest in so many others, but won't invest in themselves and find themselves, drained or burned out or just lost that spark of life. But when we can come back and start to invest in ourselves, not solely in ourselves, of course, we continue to invest in others, but when we invest in ourselves, when we give time to ourselves, not only do we say that we're important, but we also put energy and put things back into ourselves that help us grow, to help us become better as people, to be able to go out and make the world better. So good for you for being here. Good for you for taking this journey, for asking the question, for looking for information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the podcast. If you've been here before, welcome back. It is great that you're here today. If this podcast is helpful, if you find it positive, then please share it out there. Put it out there on your social media feeds. I post on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Facebook. If you follow me or the life coaching on any one of those feeds, you're going to see these podcasts. If you're on one of the listening platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music, then follow us. Give us a rating and review. Every positive rating and review tells the platform people are listening, and you'll get notifications when a new episode comes out. And if you want to reach out to me directly, GraceLifeCoaching.com. That's the website. I really, truly would love to hear from you. GraceLifeCoaching.com is where you can get a hold of me. So we've been talking about discipline and the importance of discipline. We have looked at what discipline is, how discipline creates freedom, the habits that shape your life, and why we struggle with discipline. So today I want to take another step. I want to go a little bit further. We bring it down to where real change actually happens. And this is where I want to go today. And when does real change happen? Today. Not next week, not when things calm down, not when you feel more motivated, because discipline is not built in big dramatic moments. It is built one day at a time. And today, I want to talk about how you can do that, how you can start doing this today. So let's start with something simple but powerful. Most people get overwhelmed when they think about discipline and change because they think too far ahead. They think too great, too big, too fast, and it becomes overwhelming and unsustainable. They think about things like, I need to change my life, or I need to be consistent forever, or I need to fix everything. And that pressure, my friends, is what stops people before they even begin. When we put that massive amount of pressure on ourselves to say that for the next portion of my life, forever and ever, I have to be disciplined. I can never make a mistake. This is going to be constant. It's consistent. I need to fix everything. I need to fix my life. I need to change my life. Most things in your life don't need to be changed. Most things in your life are probably going quite well. There's just some things that need to be adjusted. When we want to live a better life, we make small adjustments. We talked about that before. So we want to shift. We want to shift our thinking because our thinking can stop us in our tracks before we even begin. You don't need to be disciplined forever. You just need to be disciplined today. That's it. You need to be disciplined today. So when we shift our thinking, not to the next 20 or 30 years, if I start eating better, when Christmas comes, I'm really going to have to struggle. Well, Christmas is 8 months away. When we start thinking about today, that's it. Start thinking about today. You don't need to be disciplined forever. You don't need to be thinking about your discipline forever. You just need to be disciplined today. Can you show up today? Can you follow through today? Can you take one step today? Because if you win today, you build momentum for tomorrow. You see how that works? Discipline is built on daily victories, not on huge pieces, not on monumental change. Monumental change will happen when you have consistency daily. Momentum will build for tomorrow, which will build for tomorrow, which will build for tomorrow. But discipline starts today, and it starts small, very small. One step. Can you show up today? Can you show up now? Because one of the biggest mistakes that most people make is they set the bar too high. They set the bar too high, and then it's unachievable. It's unsustainable. If you want to set a high bar, you need to set that high bar over a long period of time, not starting out today. If you look at yourself and you say, I'm going to work out for an hour every day, that's a great long-term goal, but probably not something that's going to be sustainable right away. Or I'm going to completely change my diet. Good for you. That is an awesome thing over time, not starting today. One small step today. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. starting tomorrow. Great goal. Great long-term consistency to get out of bed at 5 a.m. every day, but it doesn't just happen overnight. That works over time. But when we make those big goals, when we make those big things right away, it's unsustainable. It may work for a few days, but then it becomes so heavy. It becomes too heavy. And then when it becomes too heavy, we falter. And when we falter, not only we backslide to where we were, but we backslide further because we'll get to where we were, but there's also shame. Look at how much I can't do this. Look at how much I'm a failure. Look at how much I don't show up for myself. Look at how much I don't care for myself. Maybe you've said those things. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you've decided to make a radical change and you try it and it starts for a few days and then you backslide. And not only do you backslide back to where you were before, but then you have that shame and that guilt. Look at what I can't do for myself. Look at who I can't become for myself. And then there's that shame and that pressure because there's failure in what you were trying to do to begin with. So let's rethink this. Let's lower the bar, but raise your consistency, okay? When we lower the bar of our expectation, it's easier to reach, but we want to build that consistency. So if you say I want a 1 hour workouts, okay, that's a great goal, but start with 10 minutes. Build up. I want to have the perfect diet. Great, that's a great long-term goal. Start with one healthy meal. You want massive routine, start with one habit and build on that. You see how when we lower the bar of expectation, we give ourselves the time, we give ourselves the build, and we build that momentum over time. Look, you didn't get here overnight. You didn't just wake up yesterday having great discipline and then wake up today having poor discipline. You got here over time, and that time needs to be realized that it's going to take that same amount of time to build new habits, to build new discipline. So lower your bar, but build your consistency. Raise the consistency that you're doing it, because consistency builds identity, and identity builds discipline. Small actions done daily are stronger than big actions done occasionally. This is where most people trip up when they think about discipline, that they need to reinvent or reshape everything. Well, unless you're in a massively terrible place, like just coming off of a heart attack or just coming off of a massive betrayal, you have the room to have small discipline, small changes built over time and create that momentum. But you can start today. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. You don't have to say, I'm going to start eating better when all these cookies are gone. Throw the cookies away. Yeah, it's a little bit of money out or what have you, but throw the cookies away. You can start today. One small change today builds a better tomorrow. It starts that discipline and that consistency. Because really what we're looking for here, my friends, is momentum. It's momentum. We want to build momentum. I was just at a place recently and they had it was a museum and they had really big trains. And I'm a big train fan. I've talked about trains before. The area that I live in has a lot of train traffic. There's a lot of train travel that moves through the city. And trains are awesome. Trains get that speed and they just get going and going and going. But they don't just go from 0 to 60 like a Porsche, okay? It takes time, little movement. If you ever seen a train start to move, they just move slowly. Those wheels turn almost imperceptibly, and then they start to build up momentum and more momentum and more momentum. Discipline doesn't come from one big success. It comes from building momentum. It comes from stacking small wins over and over. Every time you follow through, even with a small thing, you reinforce, I'm someone who can keep my word. And that builds confidence. And confidence builds momentum. And momentum continues to grow. So instead of trying to do everything, at once, focus on building a streak. Focus on building consistency. Not perfect, just consistent. I'm going to work out 10 minutes a day. I'm going to move 10 minutes a day. Maybe it's not a workout. Maybe it's walk around the office. Maybe it's go up and down the steps. I'm going to move 10 minutes a day. And when you do that every day, you're training your brain that this is part of what we do. This is part of who we are. Day 1, complete your 10-minute habit. Day 2, show up again. Day 3, show up again. Every time you show up in a small way, you're starting to build momentum. And once that momentum starts to build, it's incredibly hard to stop. Like a train. It may take them a long time to get moving, but once they get moving, they don't stop on a dime. They have a lot of momentum behind them, and it's necessary. So you want to start building momentum. So choose today, one thing today. What's it going to be? Show up, do it, then show up again tomorrow, then show up again the third day. And once momentum starts, it becomes easier to continue. Success is built through repeated follow-through. You want to train your brain that you are someone that can be trusted to follow your word. That's how it works. And part of the way to do that is to create structure. We talked a little bit about this before. Creating a simple daily structure. Discipline thrives in structure. Not rigid, not overwhelming structure, okay? But simple, intentional structure. So here's some frameworks that you can use, all right? So the 3-part day system, which is really an interesting system. Start strong. Do one and that's in the morning. Do one intentional action. Maybe it's no phone first thing in the morning. Okay. I have in my own discipline, I don't open my phone for the first hour of the day. No phone first thing in the morning. Set your focus for the day. Okay. Start strong. Start one thing strong and then follow through. Midday, complete your most important tasks first. Again, and this is what happens when you don't go right to your phone first thing in the morning. You have that intense focus, then you complete your most important tasks first. Avoid distractions. Get away from those distractions. Our phones, our computers, our people, big distractions. Stay focused on progress. And then finish well. Reflect on your day. Acknowledge your wins and prepare for tomorrow. Okay? That's a good structure. Because when that structure is lived every day, when you put it together, then it continues to build that momentum over time. This doesn't need to be complicated, my friends. Actually, the less complicated it is, the more capable we are of following through. Build a simple structure around yourself that will enhance and continue to build this momentum. Because momentum is what builds discipline. Discipline comes from momentum. Momentum builds discipline. Show up for yourself in a very small way every day. And remind your brain that you're someone that can be trusted to show up and follow through every day. And there's going to be days where you don't feel like showing up, of course. Let's be honest, that's just the way life is. You're going to be tired. You're going to be stressed. You're going to be distracted. And this is where discipline is actually built. Discipline is not built in the easy stuff. Discipline is built in the hard stuff. This is where discipline is actually built. Not on the easy days, but on the hard ones. So here's a simple rule. Do the minimum, but don't do nothing. Do the minimum, but don't do nothing. If you've committed to 10 minutes of movement every day and all you can get out is 5 minutes, don't say, well, I can only do 5 minutes, so I'm not going to do anything. No, do the 5 minutes. Do the 5 minutes. If you can't do the full investment, do what you can. If you can't complete everything, complete one thing. If you fell off, still show up in the same way. If you feel that you can't do it, or you feel that you're not really in your place, still show up anyway. Because showing up, even imperfectly, committing even imperfectly, keeps the habit alive. Sometimes is always better than nothing. All right? Something to do is always better than nothing at all. So if you can't show up for your 10-minute workout or your 20-minute workout, show up for 5 minutes. Keep the momentum going. Keep the momentum going. I think about a train, again, going back to that train image. A train is either pulled or pushed by an engine. And the engine gets going and the engine keeps going. But sometimes the engine cuts its power and the train drifts a little bit and then the engine picks back up. That's how it works. But that momentum is still there. The train keeps moving even if the engineer isn't stepping on the gas or pushing on the throttle. All right? So keep showing up. Keep habits alive by showing up a little bit. It's when we don't show up. It's not like, well, I don't feel motivated today, or I don't feel, I don't feel like I can really do anything today. Do a little bit. Keep training your brain, because the moment that you break that, it's going to be harder to pick it up again. Okay? So keep moving. Even if it's just a little bit, keep showing up for yourself. So here's what I want you to do. What is the one thing that you can commit to? What is the one thing you can commit to today? Remember, I said today's a thing. What's the one thing you can commit to today? Not forever, not perfectly, just today. What's that one thing that you can show up for yourself today? Maybe it's choosing an apple over a cookie. Maybe it's a glass of water over a soda. Maybe it's a walk rather than 10 minutes of doom scrolling when you have a break. What's the one thing you can do today? And what would change if you keep showing up one day at a time? Remember, tomorrow is tomorrow. What you can do today is what you can do. So start today. Start now. Start with one thing and show up for it. Show up for yourself and then see if you can replicate it tomorrow. You don't build discipline for the future. You build discipline for today. And you don't build it in the future. You build it in today. So what's the one thing you can do? What's that one thing that you can show up for yourself today? And I'm sure as I'm saying this, your brain is probably connecting 2 or 3 things that you've already thought about. Maybe I need to not eat so many salty snacks, or maybe I need to get off my phone a little bit more. Maybe I need to ... I'm sure that you're already thinking about it. Okay. So what's that one thing you've been thinking about? Maybe I'll do this when it's easier, when I'm less stressed. What's the one thing you can show up for yourself today? Small, achievable, and then what's that thing you can replicate for tomorrow? Now you're starting to build momentum, and momentum is going to build discipline. And that's really what we're talking about here. We're talking about building habits and structures that will lead us into a better tomorrow. So focus on today. Take one step, stay consistent, and then do it again tomorrow. Consistency, not perfection. I really want you to hear this, my friends. It's consistency and not perfection. It doesn't have to be perfect all the time. You just want to do it. You just want to keep doing it. You will learn to get better. You will learn to grow. You will learn to expand, but you're not going to if you're not going to try. So show up, be consistent every day, and let that discipline start to grow over a long period of time. But don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for next week. Do it today, because today is the day that you begin. There is no better day. There is no better time than today. Even to just make a little change, a little alteration. Today is the best day to do it. That's what I got for you for today, my friends. I hope it's helpful. I really do. If it is, please share it out there. Put it out there on your social media feeds. Put it out there on your listening platforms. If you want to reach out to me directly, gracelifecoaching.com is the website. I truly would love to hear from you, because at Grace Life Coaching, we want you to be the best you.